Oh, I need my coffee for this one. What is up, everybody? Hi deals, my name is Roma. I recently just finished high school. I know, mind-blowing. And I would like to speak about some events that happened in my high school on this channel, because I think it's pretty cool. Along with makeup videos and hair tutorials and everything, I'd love to do like a little series regarding like my high school experience, because it was kind of sucky, not gonna lie. Anyway, so this one particular entry I'm going to be speaking about today happened to be the time that I fell during roller skating. It was very embarrassing, I will say that. So the story sets off. Oh, grab your cup of coffee or your tea for this one, because it's interesting. So here's me. We were supposed to be doing I think it was rugby. I might have to speak with my friends about it, but I think it was rugby we were supposed to be doing. But my teacher was like, no girls, we're gonna do roller skating. I had done ice skating in the past and it was not good. Let me tell you, it was not great. She was not going to be going to nationals doing it because it didn't work. I fell a bunch of times and it was very painful. So I should have known that this was not going to be great for me. Nonetheless, I did it. And I ended up going, and I thought I was doing pretty good, didn't fall, doing really well, rolling about, until I got a bit too big for my boots and I rolled too far and then I fell. And it was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. I hope child pain isn't as bad as this, because Jesus Christ, it was so painful. And I felt like, okay, you know when Lionel Messi gets tripped up and he rolls on the floor in agony? That's how I felt. I was in so much pain. And the fact that people were coming over to see if I was okay made it even worse, because I was so uncomfortable with everybody being around me, and some people I didn't even know were around me. They're like, oh my god, Roma, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know, I'm in so much pain. I couldn't breathe as well, because I winded myself. Along with hurting myself, I winded myself. And so the teacher came over and he was like, right, Roma, you need to get up. And I'm like, I can't move, I am in pain, sir. And so he's like, right, okay, just move over there then. I was like, okay. I honestly felt like I was about to faint. And one of the girls that was there, she was like, oh, Roma, do you want some of my water? And I'm like, yeah, please. I would really like that. And so she gave me some water, and I was like, nah, I am seeing two different, one of the females that I was very close to at the time was there, and I swear to God, I saw two of her in that one day. I was like, am I on edibles or something? And so I it was very clear I could not skate no longer, so I took off the shoes and I gave them to somebody else. I was like, I need to go get my shit and I need to go to the nurse. So I went along to the nurse and I walked in, and the nurse was a real sweetheart, loved her. I was like, hi, I have fallen on my tailbone and I am in agony. Is there anything you can do? And so she was like, okay, right, well, I can get you a cold, it was either a cold or hot towel. I think we tried a hot compress first and it didn't help. And then we tried a cold compress and it didn't help either. And I was in straight agony. When I tell you, agony. And it was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. And so I was sitting in the room, waiting, for honestly about 30 minutes, just sitting there, waiting in case anything else would happen. You should give me one of those bowls that you can throw up in. Didn't help, nothing helped. I felt awful, I felt horrendous. Of course, they ended up phoning my mum, saying if I could take any tablets or anything. And my mum was like, yeah, it's fine. Do you want Roma to come pick her up? And I was in so much pain that they made me sit on the bed. And they're like, yeah. So my mum appeared in the school and I jumped down out of excitement of going home, because that was my only time this happened. I jumped down and I was like, oh my god, that was really something, don't do that. And I felt really bad, because I'm pretty sure the woman who, the nurse, must have thought I was speaking after I did that. But I was like assuring her I was in agony. And so my mum was helping me get in the car, and it was so sore. And we went like straight from the scope to A&E, and basically they took an x-ray of like my tailbone, which was like right there, and I had fractured my tailbone. And so when I got home, I had to stay in my bed. I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. And before this room, I was in the room next door, and so I literally couldn't do anything all day. I just sat and watched Netflix like all day. And I also watched Coco from Disney, obviously, and it was like my favourite film in the world at that point. So I rewatched it at least 84,000 times when I was, you know, down and out. And also the sad thing was, the next week or so, I think it was the next 2 weeks, and was going to be Christmas, and I was still in pain surrounding Christmas. And so like my gran and granddad and all them came in, and they were like saying hi to me, and I managed to make it downstairs and everything, but like it was really painful. And so I returned back to school in the following couple of weeks, and people were like, Roma, why didn't you press like charges, like why didn't you sue the school? And it didn't even like occur to me that I could have, like we could have sued the school. I got an injury, you know, and it never crossed my mind that I could have done that, but I just didn't. It wasn't the school's fault, it wasn't the teacher's fault, it was my fault. I got a bit too big for my boots. But in this particular case, I came back to the school and I was yelled at by probably nearly every single teacher. They were like, Roma, you haven't done any of this, you haven't done any of that, where have you been? And I was like, I have been off with a fractured tailbone, okay? I haven't been able to do work because I have a fractured tailbone. And they all, like, when I told them that, they all kind of just looked at me like this. And I was like, yeah, let that sink in. Okay, so before you start yelling at me, remember, I have a fractured tailbone, and it is very sore to walk. I did end up getting crutches, and I did end up being able to leave class like a good 5 minutes before everybody else, which was really good because, oh, that pain, girl, I won't want to go through that again. And, you know, I did get checked out one more time and I was fine. Everything was fine. But it just is a life lesson for anyone out there. If you want to do something, make sure you're like suited and booted first. Another thing the school didn't give us, which I thought was a little bit weird, was like any like helmet or like knee pads or elbow pads. Nothing. Not one thing. I thought it was a little bit weird because we weren't old, like we weren't like older, like S5s, S6s, we were like S2s, S3s, and I was like thinking to myself, why wouldn't you do that? I don't know, but as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure they don't do roller skating anymore, or if they do it a lot more safer, because I don't think it was very great to hear that one of their students fell and then had like a broken tailbone or a fractured tailbone. It was not great on the school path, but like anybody who saw me, because I wouldn't leave the house for like a week and a bit, 2 weeks at most, and when I came back to school, everyone was like, oh my god, Roma, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine now, I was just down and out for a bit. Anyway, yeah, and then like class just went back to normal and I went back to PE, and my, like, obviously my PE teacher, he wasn't the greatest, but he was like, are you okay now? Like, are you alright? Are you suited? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It was just a bit too scary. And anytime we did roller skating from then on, I refused to do it, and he completely understood. He's like, you know what, Roma? Okay, girl, like, you don't have to do it. And I was like, thank God, because I don't want a rerun of what happened last time. I think you can remember, sir. So, you know, it was all good. It was all great and dandy. And that is the story of how I fractured my my near backbone, you know. Anyway, right, if you guys did enjoy this story time, because I did waffle on quite a lot, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, because you will see a lot more of this and a lot more stories and a lot more makeup and a lot more fashion tips. And I love you all very much, and I will see you next time. Bye.